Hi, I'm E.D. Lewis, and welcome back to my channel for another nocturnal review. Before we get started, you know the drill. Hit that like, that subscribe. Please leave a comment. I'm trying to get through through that part really quickly because this review is going to be interesting because I'm not really sure how to review this book. I mean, I wrote notes and stuff for it, but this one's just kind of difficult to talk about because there's so much that happens. And I mean, if I were to really talk about it really thoroughly, I'd be giving a lot of spoilers. So there will be probably a few spoilers. Yeah, there will be a few spoilers. But, I mean, there's so much that happens. I'm not even going to attempt to cover everything in the book, of course, because I want you to go out and read it and enjoy it yourself and, discover all the secrets and stuff about it that Miss Rice has written. Which, I mean, if you haven't seen the title of the video, that kind of gave it away that it's an Anne Rice book, and it's been a little while since I've done one. It is the Vampire Lestat, book 2 in the Vampire Chronicles series. Which, of course, Anne Rice is my favorite Gothic author, and she's a fantastic writer. She's gotten some bad press because some people have been disappointed with her writing and stuff in her books, and I don't understand. I mean, I kind of understand it, but I don't understand it at the same time. And, I think it has to do with her storytelling sometimes. That might be part of it. Because, I mean, she can write. Gosh, she can write. I actually just finished listening to a book of hers, which was not horror or gothic at all. It was a fairy tale rewritten. So, it was the first book in the Sleeping Beauty books. It's no longer a trilogy. There's 4 of them now. Yeah, I didn't know what to expect, and yeah, that one blew me away. So I have a review on that on Goodreads and BookTube. So check those out. That's the Claiming of Sleeping Beauty, the Claiming of Sleeping Beauty, and I can't remember Anne Rice's pseudonym she uses for that book. But you should be able to find it probably under Anne Rice too. So anyway, so let's get into this one. So this is the sequel to Interview with the Vampire that was published in the 70s. This is, came about around a decade later in 1985. And it is, of course, Gothic horror. So it is a horror book, and it's Gothic, and, that's kind of what my channel is about, is kind of about Gothic and about horror. Well, more Gothic, but, we cross those lines a lot with Gothic. So this picks up with Lestat taking over as the main narrator versus Louis from the first book. And so Lestat is going to tell his side of the story and tell his story too. Like I said, it's going to be really hard for me to summarize this. This book was reviewed also by a friend of mine, Regina St. Clair, on Regina's Haunted Library, and she had a little trouble with the book because of the plot, because it doesn't really seem to have much of a plot, and I do agree, it doesn't, but I enjoyed it immensely anyway. And I understand kind of the difficulty there, because of a book that doesn't really have a plot is really hard to follow. But I mean, I think Anne Rice's storytelling, in my personal opinion, makes up for that. Some of her other books do have plots, or at least clearer plots than this one. This one, basically, the plot is Lestat's life and setting up for the next book, which is called Queen of the Damned, which I will be reviewing at some point. I actually just finished that one earlier this calendar year. So, and also I finished another one of hers earlier this calendar year. And the book that, Tale of the Body Thief is the book after Queen of the Damned. I actually had planned on reading it and finishing it. I never did. So it's on my TBR for, the next 12 months. So, I'll just be reviewing what I already read and then, go from there and, finish that up. So, anyway, getting into this one. Lestat awakens from which, by the way, check out Regina's review. It's a very good review. And, I mean, she seemed to have kind of a hard time reviewing it herself, because of the lack of the plot. Mine's not so much lack of the plot as there's so much there. But check out her review and check out her channel. So anyway, getting into the book, because I feel like I'm never going to get there. So Lestat wakens from this self-induced death-like sleep. I'm looking at my notes, trying to keep on track here. He's been in for around 50 years or so. Well, maybe it wouldn't be 50 years. Maybe more like 60, because I think 50 to 60 years, anyway. Somewhere around there. And what awakens him is the sounds from outside. He hears these radio sounds, and he hears all these things of modern technology, and then he hears this band called Satan's Night Out. And he gathers up his strength, feeding on what he can, mostly animals and stuff. I think he does end up feeding on somebody, like a murderer or something, his typical... as we find out later in the book series, pretty much his typical thing, that he's not so much feeding on so many innocent people occasionally, but he's more after, criminals, because kind of like, the whole thing about them, tasting better. So, they have a little more flavor than the innocent, I guess. So he gets himself together, and he presents himself to the band. They know who he is from his name immediately because they've read Interview with the Vampire. So Lestat ends up, taking over the band and establishing himself, and he reads the book and stuff, and of course he has a few things to say about that, from Louis' point of view and his own point of view. And so he renames the band the Vampire Lestat. He has some narcissistic qualities, but it's Lestat, and it's funny. I love Lestat, no matter what his flaws are. Gosh, I love him. He's arrogant and charming and charismatic, and he's just fun. We'll just go with that. So anyway, so he starts producing music videos, and he has an album put out, and he's going to make his first appearance, first public appearance in San Francisco at a concert. And he is not making it any secret that he's a vampire. He's making it very public, and, of course the other vampires are getting kind of ticked at him and threatening him and, stuff like that, and he just kind of shrugs it off. He's like, why should we hide anymore? Why should I hide? So it's kind of like this whole thing is just a whole new thrill for him. So, I mean, it's a way to get, give him some kicks and give him, kind of some purpose after all the hell that he experiences in his story. So before the concert, he ends up sitting down, basically, and writing a book account of his life. It starts out when he's a child, growing up in his family's decrepit old castle, since he's the son of an aristocratic family, and the only, growing up with his brothers and his father and stuff, and, they're all rather terrible people and stuff, and very obsessed with the old ways versus the new ways that are coming into France and stuff. And his mother, who's, very sick and stuff, but she's the most supportive. At one point, he ends up running away with this band of actors and stuff, and he wants to become an actor, and he's, brought back by his father and his brothers, and he's given these mastiffs and stuff to take care of and to train. And at some point, the village is terrorized by these wolves, and so he sets out to hunt them, and he ends up killing the wolves, and the town make a coat for him and present it to him, and that's how he meets Nikolai, or at least that's how I think it's pronounced, his name. We'll just call him Nicky. He ends up meeting Nicky, who's the son of another aristocrat, and they fall in love with each other. Yes, there are some spoilers here. They eventually make plans to leave for Paris. They're going to run away together and become, a musician and an actor, and Lestat ends up becoming a stagehand in Paris and stuff, and he ends up eventually getting on the stage and being celebrated after his debut as this, most wonderful actor, this new find and stuff. But his fame as an actor is short-lived when he catches the eye of an old vampire named Magnus. So, he's kidnapped from his and Nikki's bed one night, and well, I think you can figure out what happened next. So, like I said, that's just the beginning. There's a lot more here, and I don't want to spoil much more, but I will, give you a quick little preview of what's to come in the book after that. And I've already left out a lot of stuff anyway. We learn about how he starts, how he learns to become a vampire. He has a run-in with a satanic vampire cult. And we've already met, of course, in Interview with the Vampire, the character of Armand. And Armand is, he's such an ass. But he is such a tragic story of his own. Excuse me. We also learn how he became obsessed with Louis, and why he has such, one of the biggest reasons why he fell in love with Louis. Well, not one of the biggest, it was one of the reasons he fell in love with Louis. And we learn his side of the story of Interview with the Vampire, fairly short. And we also learn kind of I'm going to put it this way. We learn a history of how the vampires came to be, which we learn more about in Queen of the Damned. Also, so, there's a whole bunch there, and I don't want to give away too much. There's a lot of spoilers. I've given some spoilers, and there's a lot more spoilers I could give. So, I mean, just check out the book. It's pretty fantastic. I mean, if you, as long as you understand, how Anne Rice writes, that she writes with a lot of setting up of, world building. That's what she does. So, I mean, if this is a tough one to get through because of plot-wise, I understand that, and, not everybody can do that, and there's nothing wrong with that. But, if you also if you enjoy world building, this is a great one. Also, so is Queen of the Damned. And also, you get more of Anne Rice's beautiful writing style and her great descriptions, and so check out this book, The Vampire Lestat. Well, that's all I have for you. I'll be back sometime, either, over the weekend or after the week starts, with another little review. And then I'll probably come back again later in the week, next week as well, because in one of my future videos, I'm planning to do A Christmas Carol, so there'll be that. And it might be something a little more than A Christmas Carol. I don't know. We'll see. So, anyway, that's my video, and, yeah. Check out the links below that I'll have in the description, and also check out Regina's Haunted Library, and check out all the other HorrorTube and BookTubers that are out there, too. There's a fantastic community, and there's so many people to follow, and, I mean, it's all fun. So if you're a fan of horror, check all of us out. If you're a fan of books, check us all out, and movies, because some of us also review movies too. So, and also for those of us who are writers, check out our writings, and this might be some great Christmas gifts, especially some indie writers. So check out our writings, and like Local Haunts or The Curse of Ridge House. Those are ones that I've been involved in. Or there's all kinds of other indie writers too. There's Joseph Hood's book, The Bride of Warren, which just came out recently, and my friend Nick, and there's Cousin B, and they're by R. St. Clair, and the Dark Hollow Chronicles by R. St. Clair. I mean, there's so many, and there's many other indie authors, out there to check out. Some on YouTube and some not on YouTube. So, you know, those make great Christmas gifts, and they help support independent writers. So, you know, check this out. Support your local businesses. Support your local authors. Support your independent authors. And support also the authors you like that are, you know, the bigger authors like Stephen King or Anne Rice as well. I mean, they seemingly don't need your help, but I mean, they inspire other people, so support them as well. So, that's all I got for you, so stay safe, wear your mask, social distance, and stay spooky, and I'll see you next time during this holiday season. Bye-bye.